Hello, hello, Sophie.
Hello,
Nice
George.
to see you again. How are you?
Quite hectic recently. Just a lot of things I can tell. I can tell you.
Hmm,
Mm. So,
please do
preparing
tell
for
me what's going
exam,
on.
absolutely. And yeah, I'm going to have my another exam next week. So just basically preparing for exam. And I also sent in. I set a Christmas present for to my friend from UK, and so yeah, I prepared a gift for him last week, and I sent him the gift today. So yeah, and I am actually participating, kind of like a competition, but it just resonates the awareness of climate change to whole society, and it's actually a competition with a com a comp a competition cooperates with low school students. So actually, it's like I'm going to, spread the concept of carbon sink through the social media. So actually, this I'm going to work. I'm going to figure it out, and we are just going to we are going to do something for this whole society, and I think the whole process of preparing for the social media, how we how are we going to pose, how are we going to spread our concept of carbon six to the whole society, and what group of people is our majority, is we are going to discuss about it, and the concept itself, yeah. And also I know, yeah, oh, we are going to have a voting, national voting, about a lot of the discussion of the some of the national policy here, and I'm going to be one of the, I know, just I'm going to help my mom, since she is going to help the people help the people how to, I know, how to vote,
Vote. Yeah.
yeah, how to vote, and yeah, just a lot of things. Life is quite fulfilled, I think, but I hate life like that.
So a lot of things are happening in different fronts.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have your
yeah,
exams, you have your environmental campaign, competition, and then there's the elections, or at least
yeah,
decision-making process happening in the country.
exactly.
Wow, it is. It does sound like a super busy month. Um, well, if nothing, I'll give you, 35 minutes of easygoing, relaxing time. I'm not gonna give you anything difficult or hard to do. Um, I have a video. It actually, it somehow it is connected to what we were talking about. I have a video called "Why We Forget Things." Would you like to check it out?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. It's short, and I think it actually would help you a lot because of, all the things that you have to keep in mind that are not really
Yeah,
connected to
yeah,
one another. Yeah.
definitely. Because I think today I performed really bad of my exam, because it was like after the exam
Yes.
I would just um keep checking my answer, and keep checking which question that I answer wrong, or and I found out
Hmm.
that I made a huge mistake
Yeah.
A lot of questions. I was like, oh my gosh. Also, today is sunny day, and I don't know. Sometimes like sunny day represents some good luck or good
Yes.
fortune to
Yes.
people, but it just feels like, oh my gosh, I didn't think that I'm going to receive any good score or some sort of things like that. Which is no, it's going to
It
be impossible.
we need all we can get in these situations, including sunny days. That's also very helpful. Even like through the symbolism, of what you were saying, but we do need everything we can to help us go through these times. So anyways, here's the video, the why do we forget things video. I've shared my sound and I think everything is all set up. So let me know if you don't, tell me if you don't hear anything or something is, you
Yeah.
know, something is not right. Okay, here we go.
Hey there, welcome to Life Noggin. The brain is a pretty cool organ, but sometimes it can fail us, like when we forget someone's name or blank on a test. But how can someone just forget something like that? Well, to start off, I want you to imagine what a penny looks like. You're probably imagining Abraham Lincoln looking off to the right and that the coin is copper. But you probably didn't recall the phrase above the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the penny. If you did, congrats. But the reason we may have not remembered every single aspect of the coin is because, frankly, it doesn't matter. All we need to know is how to distinguish a penny from any other coin, so we only remember the important parts and store them in our long-term memory. All of the small details of any experience, like you watching this video for example, are combined into one event in your brain's hippocampus. You are essentially a network of neurons that records the association linked to the memory, and any of those associations, like hearing the name Blocko, can bring back that memory. But problems arise when there is more than one memory associated with a given cue. If you ever met someone who looks like an old friend, it may be difficult to remember this new person's name, because that face already has some other meaning to you, and the memories are interfering with each other. Decay theory states that a memory slowly fades over time if it's not rehearsed often, so if you do not frequently think about something, you'll forget it. It makes sense, but you also have to be paying attention in the first place if you ever want to recall that information. So what is something that you always forget? Did you forget it? I'm terrible with birthdays, but luckily Facebook is there to save the day. Speaking of which, if you want to, you can follow me on there. As usual, I'll be answering a new question every Thursday, so ask anything you want to know in the comments or on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Blocko, this has been Life Noggin. Don't forget to keep on thinking.
There we go. Like I said, it's really short. And I love the association element. So, and how things go bad, not because, something's wrong with us, but because the associations have already been made. That's the part that I find fascinating. So if you look familiar to me, I'll never remember your name, Sophie, because I will have, not because I can't remember names. It's because my brain already said that the person who looks similar to you has a different name, and that's it. So I would have to forget about that person to start remembering you.
Yeah.
That's so, I don't know, to me, that's so fascinating. So now you have, you have your exams, you have your environmental campaign, the elections are coming up. So clearly your brain is going to associate, right, things properly, but if it starts cross-referencing, you're going to be in trouble, obviously.
Absolutely.
It won't. I'm just saying that knowing why we forget things is very, I don't know. I did not know why we forget things until this video. And it makes sense. But it also makes sense on how people, some people remember so many things. Their association system is much, let's say, much more developed or much more rapid, than other people's. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think that maybe part of the reason why we are easily to forget something is that because we didn't use or it doesn't record our memory a lot. Like sometimes if if there's things like mathematics, I mean like calculations or I don't know, just some of the mathematic, you are not going to use it in your daily life. And when you learn it, of course, you have to memorize all the formula and all of the concept of that mathematic. But after you after you learned it, after you had an exam of it, you are not going to use it anymore in your life, and you are just simply forget all about it. So I think part of the reason why we are easily to forget a thing or even a concept is that because we don't usually use it in our life, and it's just like I don't know. I think that maybe the more times, like yeah, mo- when we use a concept or something solution more frequently in our life, it just becomes part of our. I don't know. It just suddenly becomes like part of ourselves. Like we don't have to think about it sometimes that some that in some situation we just do it without thinking about it, just automatic automatically do it. I know, just I, I don't know because like I also have to then realize like when I was in high school we actually have to learn 10 subjects. I think almost 10 subjects: mathematics, science, biology, and physics, Chinese, English, social experiments, geography, history including the global history, the west including the Western history, Chinese history, the Taiwan, the history of Taiwan. So like
Yeah.
that, and
Yes.
also yeah, and just
Yeah.
you have to learn a lot, and when you are going to have your midterm exam or final exam and you just totally you will just suddenly forgot some concept or some of the some of the knowledge or things that you learned from the textbooks. And I just feel that because we I didn't practice a lot in my life, in my daily life, so I just easily to forget all about it. But it just consume a lot of times that you have to prepare so many things just in a month. You have to prepare so many things in a month. And oh, what kind of people can prepare 10 subjects and you have to spare all your time, excluding that after you go to the school, you have to go to the cram school, since know you still don't understand what's what did the teacher in the school teach you. And because you don't understand the concept in the textbooks, you still have to go to the cram school to learn more about that. And just I don't know, it's just I I don't know, just sometimes you can't really remember so many things, and it does make people feel really exhausted that we have to prepare, we have so many pressure from these subjects, like 10 subjects. Just I know. I think no one can undertake that pressure because my sister, she just stepped into high school, and basically she spent all of the I think she spent most of the time on playing video games, and my mom was quite upset with her because she thinks that she has to study a lot. But I actually told my mom like she has to prepare 10 subjects. Also, some of the also she is quite bad at yeah, she is not good at geography and chemistry. I told my mom that it's fine. I mean she wants to go into the law school, and precise technically you don't have to you don't have to be good at chemistry so to get into the law school. And so I just told my mom like it's okay that she is failed chemistry exam, but she has to yeah she can't fail her Chinese, English, and mathematics subject because it's quite important if you want to enter a familiar university in Taiwan, especially national one. And yeah, but sometimes it just feels like I know, it just feels like it is kind of suffocated. It is suffocated at preparing so many things, memorizing so many things, and preparing for a lot of exam, and also like in your I mean during I mean before the midterm exam or final exam we actually had a lot of tests to make sure that whether you know the concept of this of what the teacher teaches. So yeah, just it is one of the way that our teacher has to has to count. There has to they have to know how they have to know our performance through the test, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, test, a lot of tests, like oh my life, all tests. after test, after the test, it's exam, and after the exam, what is it? It's holiday, and so everyone is looking forward to the holiday. Yeah.
And you start the whole procedure, the whole process starts all over again after holidays. So
Yeah.
you bring up a very good point, especially in China. Well, I guess other Asian countries too, but China is very, how would we say that? China is standing out in that um, whole element of education of
Yeah.
younger people. I mean, you guys do get Taiwan included, right? You get these hours and hours of new materials and studies and
Yeah.
things that you are, being subjected to from age 4, age 5, year 6. You're already veterans, so many things, and it does bring an edge. I mean, let's be honest. There's a reason why, China is economically number one country in the world, and there's a reason that the lifestyle, in China has risen. Taiwan is not exception either, and it shows that what is really interesting is that with Taiwan, we see that politics doesn't really have a lot to do with it, right? Because China has one very different political system than you guys have in Taiwan. But when you look at the levels of education, when you look at the life standard, right? It is a very sort of high quality life that you guys are living over there, but it comes with a price, right? You have to be on top of things, you have to know things, and it starts from a very young age. They say people who speak more than one language, bilinguals or
Yeah.
polyglots, they say their filing systems, the brain has um, the brain has developed a way to immediately store an information and create an association for it much, much faster than people who only speak one language, right? Like I speak one language and you speak, I'm guessing, just Chinese and English, or you speak more than that.
I'm actually learning French.
And you're learning French right now. So your brain, and this is according to the research, right? And this is completely relevant of environment, right? Environment, of course, affects our lives and affects our brains. But when it comes to file associations, your brain will memorize, compartmentalize, put things in different parts in itself, and create the right associations that will help you remember everything about a certain situation about 50 times faster than mine. And that's due to the constant work of your brain from, switching to one language, from one language to another language, in your case, to a third language. And I'm sorry, they also say it helps. It actually helps your memory. It helps your brain physically to speak more than one language. It alters physically the way your brain looks like. You know how the ridges work. I mean, you know this better than I do, obviously, or you're going to be a nurse. They say when you use another language, when you study another language and you start speaking it and stuff, it creates those little ridges, right, that you would have on the brain, that it physically changes them. Apparently it's true, it's a fact, right? So so what do you think about that? Like, if you, now that you're picking up French, right,
Yeah.
your brain will physically alter.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Just with the power of, right, us trying to do new things, our brain creates its physical self in a different way. I mean, I find that fascinating, to be honest with you. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
About I'm not sorry, I forgot the question.
The question is, you can memorize and store things in your head much faster than I do, simply because you speak more than one language. And the reason why you can make things, memorize things faster and create stronger links, stronger associations, is because of that, right? So what I was saying is, what do you think of the fact that our brain physically changes when we learn new things and we start doing new things?
I think
That was my
maybe
question.
because of because when we are going to learn new things, like I am actually learning French,
Right.
and I think one of the important things that improve us to memorizing faster and more efficient is that finding finally association between the things that we learned before. And I think it does play the kind of important role when you are learning a new thing. Yeah, finding association. I'm not really understand of what physical impact of the brand while we are learning new things. I think that most of the time, I think maybe because that learning a new thing. I mean, I mean, take myself for instance. I am bilingual, and I'm bilingual, and I think that most of the time it is really important that you find some association with these two language. And surprisingly, I think some of the concept, I mean the grammar in English and Chinese are actually very similar, and I think it's quite intriguing. And also a lot of terms in Taiwanese. I mean the local Taiwanese language is actually from English. Like there's an instrument called harmonica, I think. Yeah, do you know that?
Yes, yeah. A
Yeah,
harmonica would
an
be something
instrument.
you would
Yeah,
play.
harmonica.
Yeah, yeah.
And we actually that we also like the local Taiwanese language also have we called harmonica as harmonica. But
Okay.
yeah, just
Yeah.
find it this is kind of like and yeah, it's kind of like we are actually affected by some of American culture, Korean culture, and I don't know because like we are all living in this world and we also bring some influence to other culture. So I found out that some of the terms, some of the some I don't know, I just find out that language is kind of really interesting because through the language, yeah, you actually learn a little bit of history and maybe the spirit of that country. Yeah, and I think that's really cool somehow. So at the beginning, when I was choosing what departments that I want to study, I actually choose like foreign language because I'm just really love to have conversation with people from different country, and I think learning language is actually interesting. But I just choose nursing. Just I mean even though I'm choosing nursing, why I can't learning another language, isn't it? I mean it doesn't have it. I mean these two. I mean that these two things are not contradicted. Like I also can study nursing and also learning another language. But if I chose foreign language department today, I may not have an opportunity to learn some professionalism of nursing, of a lot of medical terms, and also my training. So yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, uh, if you keep studying languages on your own, you're not going to lose any time in that segment of your life. But again, there isn't really. I mean, it's better to have a degree in nursing than a degree in languages because your life and your career path will have a different, sort of more stable, you know, environment, the degree in language doesn't really, doesn't really give you a lot of options.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, if you like it, it's interesting to you, and it has been interesting to you since you were young. Then yeah, of course, we're always going to do things that we like to do, no matter the obligations and the time and free time and things like that. That's one of the reasons why you and I are having this moment right now, right?
Exactly.
I like talking to people around the world. You like to speak English, and here we are. And then
Yeah.
later on, we're going to go and do our obligations for the day, obviously.
Yeah.
But tell me this: how hard it is for you to remember something or memorize something or create an association to something that you don't particularly like.
Well, I think I mean there's a lot of ways to learn things like listening, reading, writing, and you know, I found out that when I don't really like something, I don't really want to learn these things. Like for instance, like my microbiology, I don't really want to spend my time on it. I mean,
Hmm.
it is really important, but I just don't really want to. I don't know what's the man what's the point of my professor. So, and sometimes I I study her PowerPoint slide, and it's actually a lot of I think it's a little bit messy because you can't actually catch the point, but catch the point of her PowerPoint slide. And so most of the time that I found out that I actually prefer listening the the context, the context, the content of my class. Yeah, the content of my class. Like I record the I actually record the I actually record what my professor teaches during the class. So so when I was walking on the street, when I was kind of when I was kind of bored, or I don't know what I'm going to do, I will just play my recorder and repeat what my professors teaches last week or a month ago, and just keep repeated again and again, and even sleeping, even while I was sleeping. Just yeah, I think just like finding a way that you prefer. Like I actually, yeah, actually my preference is listening the content of my professor teachers during the class. Sometimes I'm quite impatient on reading and just reading the PowerPoint slides and and writing all the things, because and taking the notes from her PowerPoint slides, since I can't really catch her point. So I just keep listening again and again, and actually, from the tune and from some of yeah, just like sometimes like people will emphasize some points with their voice becomes much lower, or you know or they will say this concept is very important, you have to memorize that. Yeah, just some yeah, sometimes when I dislike something, I would just keep repeating the recorder and again and again. Yeah. And just turn yeah, just just like that.
Yeah, repetition, of course. That's a very nice way of um, getting the things in your head that you don't really want to
Yeah.
have in your head in the
You
first
have
place.
to get all the
Yeah.
things inside your head no matter what.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
if I don't have to, you know, if I don't need this credit, of course I just throw all of the PowerPoint slide away, throw my textbooks into a garbage can
Yeah.
because I don't really want to see it anymore.
And you don't want to have any memory of it ever again. Yeah. But it is, I mean, repetition, yeah, it works. It totally works. Have you ever been in a situation where you just can't remember something?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I've been in so many situations where my wife would say things and she would tell what I said and what I did, and I would have absolutely no reason to, think that she's teasing me or messing with me. And I would go, I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not remember any of those things.
Then
Has
that's
something like
actually
that
the
happened to
man's
you?
problem.
Well, yeah, men have have a lot more issues with those things than women do. But has that happened to you before? Where, let's
Well,
say, your sister or your parents would tell you, no, you were there and you said this and you said that, for instance, and you would look at them and go, no, I was never there. I never said those things.
yeah, absolutely sometimes. And I don't know, like, but mostly my mom and my sister will told me that what did I say, what did I do, and what what kind of things that I made make them being pissed off. It's
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
yeah, I don't know, like some I think yeah, my mom and my sister they are quite op- it's not open-minded. I just think that sometimes they are really willing to express their emotions. Also, sometimes we also have a lot of conflict that just sometimes you have to figure it out to fix the problem. Yeah, and also after that you have to forgive and forget. I think it's just I don't know. Sometimes it's really difficult for for a person that when you have a very um I don't know, just very just when you had an argument with people, and I think it's really hard that how we forget all about these after we had an argument with our family or friends or even someone we love. Just sometimes I think that how we fix the problem is much more difficult than we thought. Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. And I wish we had more time. And I wish I can give you more relaxing, comfortable time where you
You do, you do.
do not have to worry about anything or memorize anything or have anything.
Yes,
Uh,
I just tried to memorize all of things, and I memorize these things, and I don't really use it. I don't really apply it in my daily life, and I just learn it, had an exam, and I just perform it badly, and then preparing another concept and just cognitive knowledge, and just keep continuing, and it was like what's the meaning of learning? What's the meaning of learning
yeah.
how to host things? And
Yeah.
just because I'm going to have training, but I'm not going to use it in my daily life, and I'm not really consequently. I mean, frequently use it when I am having my training, and
Mm.
I okay, I know like there's people who get scholarship because they are quite good at having a good score of the exam, but what's actually the true meaning of exam? Sometimes I wish I can just write an essay, because like people are good at different yeah, people are people are different people, because we are individual, so we
Yes.
are not we so we definitely are good at some specific things that we are we are interested in. And so like, okay, you are good at having good grades through having good grades, and I think maybe I have another things that I'm quite good at. And I just think that is that the only metrics that evaluate a person how we perform in this subject just through the exam. And it just feels like, oh my gosh, there's so many ways, there's so many things that we can do, and just why we just need why we have to evaluate a person just just because of the exam. I just feel sometimes it's very superficial and very
You know, for
yeah,
yeah, for
conventional sometimes.
yes, yes.
But
Yeah,
but
I
you know,
agree.
but you know, the whole education, especially exam, the examination system itself is actually can trace back to hundreds, I mean centuries ago in Chinese culture. And it just I don't know, we can't just get rid of all those things, because it remains in our culture so long and so deeply that we can't get rid of it. I was sometimes I was just complaining to my friends from the UK. I was telling him like, who invade examination? Who actually invade examination? Chinese people. And why we can't? And I sometimes I do really hate being a Chinese, since I have to do so many tasks in my whole life, like since I stepped into the elementary school, exam and cram school. After elementary school is cram school. I have to go to cram school after I finish my life in school. And it's like, who actually made all of this? And it's actually ourselves. And just, you know.
Yeah, yeah. The truth behind it makes it even worse. But hey,
Yeah.
every generation creates something new. And my generation, for example, couldn't do anything about testing. It's still here, but your generation might, right? So
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much, Sophie, for showing up, for having a chat with me. Thank you so much. Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you,
of your
George.
evening. And yeah, I hope I'll see you again some other time. Okay.
Sure.
See you.
Bye,
Bye.
George. Bye.